woman simply ran her hand over her husband's oil painting, only to discover that the ring in the painting was actually a hidden switch. Out of curiosity, she pressed it, but as a secret door slowly swung open, the horrifying scene inside instantly sent a chill down her spine. There, inside the freezer before her, lay the frozen bodies of her husband's 6 former wives. Realizing her husband was a serial killer, and was instantly terrified out of her wits, and rushed to escape this place of trouble. But the moment she opened the door, she bumped right into her wealthy husband, who was coming home from work. To avoid arousing his suspicion, she forced herself to overcome her fear and threw herself into his arms, lying that she had just encountered a mouse in the kitchen that nearly scared her to death, and thought her story was airtight. But little did she know that the tycoon had been married 6 times before, and saw right through her act. He immediately ushered her into a small room. To Anne's utter shock, the naturally suspicious tycoon had already installed a security camera outside the freezer door, and the moment she opened it, had already been captured on camera. To prevent Anne from spilling the secret, the tycoon immediately clamped his hands tightly around her neck, intending to send this witness to meet her maker. But at that moment, Anne demanded to know the truth before she died. She couldn't understand why her husband, who was clearly a man of immense wealth, had gone to such lengths to kill his first 6 wives. Hearing this, the tycoon immediately took an interest, because none of his previous wives had ever asked him such a question. The tycoon slowly began to reveal the untold stories of his 6 marriages. It turned out that the tycoon's first wife was a singer. The two met at an equestrian competition. With just a single glance, they were both deeply drawn to each other's aura. Soon, they became a couple, and didn't take long to walk down the aisle. But as time went on, the tycoon discovered that his wife was a bit unusual. She loved singing so much that she sang constantly, regardless of the time or place. She sang while traveling, she sang while dancing, and even sang non-stop while out for a meal. Although the tycoon could tolerate all this, what he never could have imagined was that his wife had a fatal flaw. She loved to startle people. Her frequent sudden outbursts cast a significant psychological shadow over the tycoon's mind. Realizing he would sooner or later be scared to death by his wife, he could no longer bear it and decided to take action. He then, while his wife wasn't paying attention, he silently carried her to the guillotine, and swiftly flipped the switch. As her singing came to an abrupt halt, the house finally fell silent. But the all-powerful tycoon soon grew restless in the solitude, and at a ball, he met his second wife. She was a stunning runway model. Her tall figure and peerless beauty instantly captivated the tycoon, leaving him spellbound. So the tycoon immediately sprang into action, spending a fortune on lavish gifts for her, which finally allowed him to get close to this aloof model. To win her over completely, he frequently took her to high-profile events. Before long, he had married the model and brought her home. The tycoon had expected a happy and fulfilling married life to follow, but to his utter surprise, this second wife turned out to be just as eccentric. Not long after the wedding, she shed her aloof pre-marriage persona and became as clingy as a kitten, sticking to the tycoon's side every day. She even demanded he stop going to work and stay home to keep her company. The tycoon could understand all this at first, but as time went on, he realized this wife wasn't as simple as he'd imagined. One day, the moment he stepped out the door, his wife invited her best friend over to plot how to kill him and inherit his billions. What they didn't know was that the shrewd millionaire hadn't gone far. He was hiding in the shadows, quietly eavesdropping on their plan. It was only then that the millionaire realized this wife was a woman with ulterior motives. To prevent their scheme from succeeding, the tycoon decided to strike first. So, while the two were busy plotting, he used the ivory chandelier hanging above to send these 2 vicious women to meet their maker. Having endured 2 failed marriages, the tycoon had come to believe that love no longer existed in the world. Seeing her husband suffer such misfortune, and hurriedly threw herself into his arms to comfort him. Under Anne's soothing words, the tycoon soon opened up about his 3rd marriage. One day, while out and about, he unexpectedly met a powerful career woman. The domineering aura she exuded once again drew him in deeply. So, unable to wait, he brought her home as his wife. But he soon came to deeply regret it, because this wife was extremely domineering. She would drag him along on fighter jet rides and demand he accompany her to shooting practice. He accepted all of this, but as time went on, he discovered this wife was also a hopeless alcoholic. Every time she got drunk, she would go on a drunken rampage and would frequently beat him up. Faced with such an alcoholic wife, how could the all-powerful tycoon possibly put up with her? So, catching her off guard, he grabbed her by the head and shoved her face first into the water, drowning her alive. Having endured 3 failed marriages, the tycoon had assumed he would spend the rest of his life alone. But one day, while strolling down the street, he unexpectedly met a nun. Her serene, unworldly demeanor, free from desire and ambition, reignited his longing for love.